Some of the issues that were coming up at the beginning of the year were resolved by going into the preferences. So from your teacher dashboard, the fastest way to get there is to go into assignments. Go to the preferences tab on the right. There's several different preference areas that I'm going to talk about. And the first one is general preferences. Many of you had your time zone reset to a default, which was not Pacific, at the beginning of the school year, and this may have affected your ability to assign an assignment with a due date that the system saw as having already passed. So definitely check that you are on Pacific time at this point. You can also set your student's score for showing as a percentage or a raw score here. You also will want to check default test settings. Some people were having issues with student scores not showing up in the reporting function, and we believe this was because they were allowing students perhaps to take a test or do an assignment more than once. And if you've done that, for instance here, I can show that my students can submit more than once. If they haven't submitted that second time yet, then it won't show a final score, even though they've done the assignment once. You may also want to play with this. For instance, if you allow your students to retake a test and then you take the highest score, or you take an average of scores, this is where you can set that. You also may want to check whether or not you're allowing students to see their own score after a test and whether they have to wait for everyone else to finish to see their own score and correct answers. And finally, you may want to check the calendar dates. You can actually set holidays. I believe the defaults are generally what our holidays are, but you may want to set the start date and end date of each semester, or at least the entire school year. If the default settings are not accurate for our grading periods, that could also cause a problem when assigning due dates to a test or assignment. Because if it sees a conflict between an actual school date and the date you're trying to assign something, it will give you an error message. So these are all great settings to just go in and check.